What's up, guys? It's our 100th video, and I wanted to do something a little bit different for this one, something that we haven't really done before. Well, we've kind of done before. Several videos ago, we opened up an original Nintendo DS, and it went fairly well. A lot of people that was a really well received video. So today, we're gonna start a new series that's going to be tearing apart old computers and kind of seeing what goes on inside them. Today we went with a model that came out in 2014, the HP 110 210. I don't know why they decided to go with all the numbers that they did, but it's a custom motherboard that they put in there, an AMD processor, 4 gigabytes of RAM, 500 gigabyte hard drive, and a few other little things in there. It's not really that impressive, and it's something that we used for minimal computing ability, and you'll see why whenever I start tearing this thing open. So let's go ahead and get right into that. Okay, so one of the first things to notice about this machine, as soon as I get it open, is there's no internal power supply on it. That's pretty unusual for a desktop like this. Usually, considering that this is actually going to be the bottom of the machine down here, what you're seeing, yeah, this is down here is actually the bottom of the machine that's going to be sitting on the floor or in the cabinet or whatever. The power supply would normally be right here, but there's nothing there. It's because this actually has an external 65 watt power supply, which in most machines is just unheard of. I can't imagine why anybody would actually want to go with that. And as you can see, this motherboard is actually extremely small. They call this their Mulberry motherboard. Now, the interesting thing about it is you can see right here is the processor fan. This is the fan, and then it has the heatsink here underneath it. This is probably the smallest fan I have ever seen on a processor. I'm really curious as to see what that looks like underneath. Right here, you have an M.2. Oh, geez. Why is my brain not working? An M.2 Wi-Fi receiver. So it goes through here and actually goes out to the front of the case. So we can probably pop that off. And, well, we'll get to that in a little while. So there's that. And you can see it has a single stick of DDR3 RAM. So that's it. That's the entirety of the RAM, and that's going to be a 4 gigabyte DDR3 stick. Now, in most of your new gaming PCs, you're going to see DDR4 RAM, and you're going to see at least 2 of these. Honestly, I would recommend somewhere around. I would recommend you have 2 8 gig sticks to be a minimum of 16, but they decided to go with a single 4 gigabyte DDR3 stick of RAM. And so, like I said, this is for basic computing. This is the kind of thing that you're going to use primarily just for web browsing and maybe doing some Microsoft Word stuff, but you're not really going to see any real computing with it. Now, let's see. That's the SATA cable for the hard drive. Let's go ahead and pull that out. The SATA cable is not that big of a deal, so we can just pull those out. What's really concerning to me about this is, like I said, it does have an external power supply. So the power actually comes in through the rear I/O and is distributed from the motherboard to everything else. And that's honestly a really bad design. There's no good way of doing something like that. All right, so what I just did there was I pulled out the connectors for the hard drive and for the optical drive. Those are, I'm using the wrong thing here. Those are the data connectors. So, ooh, do I not have one large enough? It looks like I don't. I can't locate my actual iFixit toolkit right now. So, oh, and also I've got this thing here. It's actually a magnetic tray. So I don't lose any of the screws because, well, I don't actually plan on putting this back together. But in the instance that you did want to, take this apart and change out any parts, you are going to want to know exactly where all your screws are so that you can put it back together. But that's not going to be happening with this bad boy. We're taking this apart, and most of it's actually probably going to end up in the trash. So we have a Western Digital 1 terabyte drive. I think that's actually going to be an upgrade. There you go. That's actually going to be an upgrade compared to what this thing comes out of the factory with. These are supposed to come with 500 gigabyte hard drives, whereas I actually somehow managed to get a 1 terabyte. So I actually probably paid more for this than I should have, because we did buy this brand new. This was, like I said, used for basic computing and nothing special there. So most likely I actually grossly overpaid for that. Do I have... Yes. So I'm actually going to try to take off the processor fan now. I just wanted to get the hard drive out of the way. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to try to take out the processor fan, which that's not going to be big enough. Do I have... Oh, it's on the other side of the room. But this might work. This might be... Like, I'm using a flathead for all of this, which is not the best idea, but that's what we're doing. Now, of course, this thing is well out of its warranty. If you've got an off-the-shelf computer, I do suggest not doing anything to it until you know the warranty has run out. Because if you don't know what you're doing, like a lot of times I have not known what I'm doing, you can do a lot of damage to these things. And if you don't have a warranty, you've probably spent too much money. Now, right now, you can still actually buy this computer refurbished from Newegg. It goes for about $124. And like I said, this came out in 2014 to give you an idea of how sad this little thing is. So that's going to be the processor fan. Like I said, I've never seen one this small. Now, this is an AMD processor. And, I don't even know how I'm going to get into that just yet. Let's go ahead and try to get some of these other things out. I'm going to go ahead and undo the case fan. It has a single case fan. That's it. Just one single fan bolted to the outside of the case. Honestly, not that well either. It looks like they used self-tapping screws, which I don't know why they would do. Because the case itself is actually custom for this computer. Now, that may sound impressive. It's actually not. Because this thing is not expandable. At no point could you ever expand this to put, say, like, even a cheapy graphics card. Oh, it only have 3 screws. That's kind of dumb. Okay, so there's the fan. So there's the case fan. This might actually be the only thing... Well, maybe the hard drive. The hard drive being a 1 terabyte might be worth something. I could format that and put it into another machine to up the storage. The case fan here, about an 80 millimeter case fan. Could be useful. Could not be. It all depends on the case. All the cases that I work with typically use I would put a minimum of a 120 millimeter fan on. Let's go ahead and get some of these cables out and get them out of the way. Some of these are power, some of these are data. Oh, that's power. Such a bad design. I can't believe they've done some of the things that they've done on this. Okay, that is a Phillips head, and it's really tiny. So I'm going after... Oh, and it's not even... That's still too small. Like I said, I don't have my normal toolkit, which really bothers me right now. I have no idea where it went. So iFixit, if you want to hook us up with some new toolkits, that's not going to work either. What is that? That's so weird. How about none of these? The one I was using was going to definitely be too big for that. That's too big as well. So, yeah, right now I'm using a Cobalt kit that I got from Home Depot a while back to work on another project. I honestly couldn't tell you what it was because I can't remember. But okay, so there's your Wi-Fi card. Like I said, it's an M.2 card. Fits in right there, which is kind of cool to me, honestly, that you have an M.2 slot right there. I would have preferred more space on it, so I could have fit a hard drive on there. Yes, you can get solid-state hard drives that you attach directly to the motherboard. They work much, much faster. They're much more stable than what you're going to see with even a standard 2.5 solid-state drive. And a hell of a lot better than what you're going to see with a 3.5 hard drive. I don't really like using hard drives anymore. I definitely don't like using optical drives, which I've got one of those I got to yank out of this. Because optical drives, unless you're dealing with a lot of music CDs, you don't really need to worry about optical drives anymore. Because you can actually install Windows through USB now. You can actually buy it straight from Microsoft on USB, and that one's just being a son of a bitch. There we go. That should be, yep, it's the last one. So there we go. So there's the motherboard. Like I said, I'm not crazy about this. Like I said, they've got 2 slots for the RAM, but they only utilized one of them, and they only used 4 gigs. Which, I mean, yeah, that does work on something like this, but I still prefer seeing at least 8 gigs in a machine just to be safe. But like I said, this thing, you can run Microsoft Word, you can do PowerPoint, you can do Excel, and you can browse the internet, and that's about all this is good for. We actually used to use this for YouTube, so we could watch YouTube in our living room back before we got our 4K TV. And it couldn't handle the 60 FPS videos. We actually had to go in and turn them down to 30 FPS, and sometimes even more than that. Some videos I had to turn down to 24 FPS and 720p on a 55-inch TV. That doesn't really work out that well. And like I said, there's usually down here is where you're going to see the expansion slot for a PCIe graphics card, but there's no slot on this thing because they didn't anticipate anybody ever doing that with it. And like I said, anyways, it's got a 65 watt external power supply that you can't upgrade. So I mean, this is not worth the money that we paid for it. Now that I've gone into it and looked at it, let me see if I can actually get in and pop these clips. I don't think I can. I would love to, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get these clips off, unfortunately. And I'd really love to see the processor that's in there. So if I can get in there and I can cut that open, I'll show that here in a little bit. But right now, let's move on to taking out some of the other stuff. Now, we've got clips on probably both sides, which is unfortunate because the other side panel is riveted on. If the other side panel riveted on, I might not actually be able to get the optical drive out, which, it's not too big a deal. It's a DVD writer. Okay, so the front panel actually came off pretty easily. I wasn't expecting it to come off as easily as it did. It's got all kinds of dust in there. Okay, so yeah, it's got a DVD writer drive. I think it actually has LightScribe for any of those who actually want to use LightScribe. I don't know anybody who does. It was a cool idea, and then nobody really cared. So nothing ever came of it. Let's see if I can actually get this out without having to open up the other side panel. I don't think I can. Oh, yep, there it goes. So there's your optical drive. Yeah, it's an HP drive. Makes sense because it's from HP. Super Multi DVD writer. It's garbage. Like I said, I don't like optical drives. They get more in my way than they do anything else. Looking at this front panel, let me see if I can get that on camera. I might have to move the camera a little bit if I can even do anything about this. It doesn't actually look like I can currently. So let's turn this thing over, get a look at the inside. Okay, so I've got all kinds of cables just strewn about now. So there's actually my on-off switch. So that's going to be the on-off switch right there. Some of these are power, some of these are data. These fucking things. Oh, is that my antenna? Okay, let me see if what I can get on here. So you have the I/O panel. Well, not the I/O panel, but you have the front USBs, and then you have a 7-in-1 card reader. But right here is the actual antenna for the Wi-Fi, and I'm seeing if I can get that out because it's not screwed in. It looks like they actually slid it in place. It's actually slid in, so if I can work it out just a little bit. Don't ever do this, by the way. Yeah, there we go. So there's the antenna, which is all tangled up in those wires on the inside. So I actually will have to disattach the cable for the antenna on the inside and then route it out through the front. So that was most likely something that somebody had to put in by hand. Like a lot of these can be done with machines. That particular one looks like it needs to be done by hand. And if I turn it over, see, I'm trying to look in here to see how this is attached. And it looks like I might be able to slide it towards the bottom of the case there. Push it down this way and it'll pop free. But it doesn't want to do that. It doesn't want to do anything for me. So I might have to leave that on there. Give me a minute. Let's see if I can get something to cut that right there. We can see what all we can dig out of this thing. Okay, so I found some scissors that aren't that sharp. Oh god, there we go. Okay, so get rid of that, don't need that. Alright, so here is, let's see, that's going to be the power. This here is going to be the power for the optical drive. And then this is going to be the power for the hard drive. This is pretty standard. That's usually the same adapter you're going to see for anything like that, but okay, so we pop off that little guy. So there's the actual Wi-Fi receiver. That's the thing that's going to translate the signal for you. Now there is, I believe, an Ethernet jack. Yeah, there is an Ethernet on the actual I/O panel. If you can do hardline internet, I would suggest doing that. Wi-Fi is notoriously unsafe. Let's see, and like I said, there's the antenna for the Wi-Fi. Yeah, Wi-Fi is notoriously unsafe. And then all of these are, let's see, what do we got here? Oh, we can probably pull that out, actually. There we go. That there is going to be for the card reader. That's going to be that sends the signal to and from the motherboard for the card reader. Everything else that I have in here is going to be, let's see, those. Yeah. Let's see. This one here is for the front USBs, and that's going to be a power supply for those. And this here is going to be for the front audio, and there's not a power adapter for that. If you have speakers that don't require power, they're probably not that good. Just letting you know. Headphones, completely different story. But if you're working with speakers and they do not require an external power source, you're probably getting subpar audio. And that's just a personal thing to me. Because of my my tendency to go for things designed for gaming. I like having higher quality audio. But like I said, this here is just for the power button. One of these is to activate, and I'm sure there's a reset in there somewhere. Well, maybe not. Yeah, looks like it's just for the button. And then some power for the LED for it. So here's the front panel. So yeah, just for that button right there. Like I said, it does have an LED. That's going to trigger the optical drive and then the ports for all of that. But there you go. That is the HP 110-210 PC teardown. Now, I plan on doing more of these in the future. They're going to be done a little bit differently. Because this is my youngest computer that I plan on taking apart. Everything else is actually, this is from 2014. I've got one that I think is from 2005, and that's my next youngest one. And then after that, they just get older and older and older. I have another one that I'm trying to get my hands on right now that was actually a state-of-the-art custom gaming PC back in 2008. And I'm trying to get my hands on it right now but it's a little bit of a task to get that done because I am getting that from someone else, and they say that they think it's in storage right now, but that's something entirely different. But thank you everybody so much for watching. If you want to see more of a series like this, I do plan on doing at least one more video anyways for some of the other computers that I've got. But, let me know what you think about the series. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you next time.